So I declared 2025 as my healing year. Literally getting these surgeries done, learning how
Yeah.
to move better, learning how to
Yeah.
stretch better, and stuff I took for granted of as a stubborn man that I thought would never happen to me, man. But the damage, I was creating damage on myself. I always walk with kind of a pimp limp, but it's really because one leg was longer than the other, and I was always leaning on it, and I end up, getting a little curvature in my spine and hip dysplasia because of it. So I've learned, like, yeah, I like scuba diving. I've been diving since '96. It resets my soul. It gets me in touch with a higher power, if you want to call him God, Allah, whatever suits your fancy. I believe there's a higher power because I literally see it on the water.
Yeah. If you ever worked a double, burned your hand, still showed up, this one's for you. This ain't just a podcast. It's the culture. It's the people. It's the industry. Real chefs talk. And everybody gets heard.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Real Chef Talk, the podcast where we highlight the people that work in the hospitality industry on a daily basis. Today's guest is someone who's been in the industry for over 25 years. He's been on the restaurant scene for as a chef, educator, and an industry leader as chef, owner, Culinary Solutions, personal event. Former chef. He's a former CPS career and technical education program director. His students have earned over 20 million in college scholarships and thousands of industry-level certifications. Driven by his motto, engage, educate, and empower, Chef Blackman continues to shape futures in kitchens, classroom, and communities. And y'all, I want to welcome Chef David Blackman. Hey, Chef, what's going on?
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Like, how you been, man? It's been a minute.
Been a minute.
Welcome to Real.
I'm coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, man. I can hear you.
Okay,
Just,
cool. All right, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I was having a little problem doing this on the laptop because it kept blocking it. I guess the firewalls on the laptop was like, nah, you better check it. And I'm like, I gotta download an app, and then the laptop was like, nah, man, we ain't doing it. So I guess I gotta do this on my phone. I'm like, I don't know what, but going to the conversation talking about being a chef, on Fridays and Saturdays, that's when we're busy, right?
Yeah.
And I would assume that I'm busy on those days. Don't call me unless someone's dead or your house is on fire.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't know if I can help you because I got 400 people I got to cover. So I'll be like, live long and prosper. I hope save all your shit. But I'm getting ready to, jeez.
Yeah. Hey, like I'm in a fire right now myself.
Right. All the people in the world that you had to call, you called me. It's like, what can I do? But I tell people that don't call me unless there's a dead body or your house is on fire. And I still live by that rule with my staff, man. Don't call me with your woes unless one or the other. Text me. And I tell them, your house on fire? Man, I'm sorry, man. Prayer hands, emoji, fire department, water hose, broken heart / emoji, fried chicken, and call it a day, man. So
that's hilarious. That is hilarious. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Chef. What was your upbringing like as you got into the culinary industry? What was your upbringing like?
Good question, man. See, as a teenager, I didn't have it like they have these home ec programs and stuff they have here now in Chicago public schools. We didn't have that when I was going to school. So I used to I like cookies. I was a fat kid, man. I know the Toll House recipe by heart. I can recite it like boom. You need 3/4 of cups of brown sugar, 3/4 cups of white sugar, half a pound of butter, often beat it together.
Yeah.
So I know the recipe. So I used to make Toll House cookies, and I always had cookies on me because I like Toll House cookies with pecans in it. So it was my thing. And my hip hop name was Diamond D. And in the 80s, man, you had to, anyway. And so I always carry cookies with me. And one day, man, I was at school, at my high school, And someone was like, "Man, can I get a cookie?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Because I had a lot of cookies. Those
Yeah.
cookies good as hell. I'll pay you if you bring me some cookies. I was like, "For real? For real? Let me think about this." So I started bringing little sandwich bags of cookies, man, and then people were buying them. So I would carry one bag with my books in it, another bag full of cookies, and I was selling them for like $2 for a
Man.
sandwich bag of cookies. All over. I went to Lynn Bloom. Shout out to all Lynn Bloom High School people. Swoop, swoop, swoop. But
Yeah.
I'm walking through the hallways, man, and people like, "You got some cookies?" I was like, "Yeah, I got some cookies." So I was like the cookie dealer at in the school. And
Yeah.
then back in the 80s, man, teenagers we used to go whole party. House music was a
Mm.
thing where the house DJs back in the early 80s and 80s, man, you can go and rent a club out. Two, three DJs, man. We'll put these big old signs on the poles all over the south side. It's going down at the Looking Glass. It's going down at all these different
Yeah.
lounges and stuff they had back in the day. And so teenagers, we go up in there, we dance all night, and people up in
Mhm.
there smoking weed.
Yeah.
I thought you come out at about 1:32 in the morning, cookie sounds about right, don't it? And
Yeah.
so I would pop the trunk to my car, man. I'm moving cookies. Then I stepped my game up. I started putting them in the clamshell containers and put a label on there, Diamond D's Cookie Delights. So I was
Yeah.
moving brand. And I was starting making other flavors, the CPS butter cookies and oatmeal raisin cookies with some cinnamon orange zest in it, things that my mom made. Because I have to help my mom cook a lot. So whenever I cook, I think about my mom and how much love she put in food. I
Yeah.
put love in food with the idea when they taste this, first taste this bite, you be doing this going, mm. And so it was
That's that stuff.
ego. It was already ego. It was ego. That's ego. I call it
Yeah.
ego. So I always was cooking and baking, thinking, yeah, wait till they taste this, boy. They're gonna be like, "Ooh, that dude," So I had that in mind and got a reputation. But in the meantime, I got nuts, rubber bands of money.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job.
Yeah.
Mind you, okay, as a teenager, I did not. I worked at like a McDonald's, man, for 1.5 weeks. Lost it. It was a long story. It was bad. They wouldn't let me cook. They wouldn't let me cook, and they had me clean the bathroom. I never cleaned a bathroom my life, man. I mixed bleach and ammonia together, cleared out the
Wow.
whole McDonald's. So they fired me. They fired my ass. They was like, "You need to get out of here, fat boy." I was like, "I want to cook. I want to cook." But and I worked at Doc's Fish for a minute, man, with Bernie Mac. Bernie Mac used to work at Doc's Fish on 87, the Dorchester, man, and I was like, he used to make
Wow.
us laugh back then. He talk about people, "Look at this fat bitch, want more cheese, want more fish." And then it's time us man peel shrimp. That's all the
Yeah.
teenagers we did, man. They used to peel and devein shrimp by frozen blocks of shrimp. And Doc shrimp was a big deal. We had to go through, man, 50 pounds of shrimp and just in working, within my 8 hour
Yeah.
shift or my 6 hour shift. And hands just was reeking, man. He smelling like God knows what. As a teenager, that wasn't good to be stinking like that. So I went
Yeah.
ahead and left that job. So I didn't have a job. But
Mhm.
I had lots of singles, lots of $5 bills. So what do you think my mom thought I was doing? She thought I
You
was
drug
moving.
dealing.
Yeah, thought I was a drug dealer. And I had a pager. I had a pager. I had all the fresh Puma gear, Adidas gear, and Nike. Nike was coming out. Nike was kind of blowing up, but I was like, I was an Adidas or Puma cat.
Yeah.
But more Adidas. To this day, I'm more Adidas. And man, fresh gear. So my mom thought I was moving drugs, man. And so she had a talk with me and was like, you ain't got to do this, baby. And I'm like, Mama, what you talking about? I take it down in the kitchen. She never noticed these tubs of dough in the bottom of the fridge. I would take them out,
Yeah.
bake cookies, do my homework, man. Let the cookies cool off, put them in the containers, put them up, my product up,
Yeah.
and then move my product. So yeah, maybe I was a dope dealer, a drug dealer, but
Hey, like I'm slinging dough, but
yeah,
ain't that dough
yeah,
you think of.
right. But ain't nobody arresting some fat kid on the corner of Inglewood with a bunch of cookies, you know. And so I learned socially. Like one time I got pulled over by the cops. Cops was like, 'cause I had this high top fade back in the day, man. I had this Bart Simpson thing in the '80s. Anybody with the high school would be like, yeah, Dave Blackman had this. I had this crazy pronounced hairdo, but it was the '80s. We were all expressing ourselves. But
Yeah.
cops pulled me over like, yeah, that's him. And I'm like, oh, what's up? And they're like, yo, you that cookie kid, ain't you? And I'm like, yeah. What's up, them cookies, man? I'm like, you know what, officer? take a couple for free, y'all. Take a couple for free. But that blue
Yeah.
shirt officer ends up becoming a white shirt officer, gets promoted, and
Yeah.
remembers the moment we had when I gave him some free cookies because his sister somebody asked for cookies. He just noted Diamond D's, the lights, and was like, "This is
Yeah.
Diamond D," you know.
Yeah.
The foes and the moles, man, the BDs and the GDs, because you know Inglewood's separate. Like Easter
Yeah.
Racine, GD,
Yeah.
Western
Yeah.
Racine, BD. I got to
Yeah.
cross over the streets and nobody bothered me because I
Wow.
gave cookies to the chiefs, the bosses. You know, they
Yeah.
thugs like cookies.
Yeah.
But let's
Exactly.
see, friends, and then I realized girls like
Yeah.
cookies, and I was starting to like the girls, right? So I found a
Yeah.
great way to get a girlfriend through what I had, and from there, my mom found out about. I thought, you know, let my mom know. She hooked me up with this chef, Arun Sazman. He's a
Yeah.
Swedish chef on the north side of Chicago, Addisonville. He's passed away, R.I.P. And I worked in a Swedish restaurant, man. I'm learning about this creamy pickled fish dish they got on bread,
Yeah.
toast bread, and the beef stroganoff and beef bourguignon and all these
Yeah.
other things we were doing, man. And I would come back to the hood and I'm like, man, y'all should
Yeah.
try this. And all my friends like, man, that's some white people. And I'm like, and just travel on the train, you know, coming from the south side all the way north and seeing the city change, you know, because we're a very segregated town. But in
Yeah.
each part of our neighborhood, you've
Yeah.
got the authentic, real deal Holyfield in Chicago. That's why Chicago is such a cool
Exactly.
food
Yeah.
capital. And I
Yeah.
got off the train sometime to try, you know, real Indian cuisine or, you know, real Asian cuisine or Argyle Street, you know, and
Yeah.
tasted the city, man. Go stop off at Chinatown for that Asian cuisine, different, you know, Korean compared to,
Yeah.
you know, Vietnamese, you know, compared to Szechuan and Cantonese. So I took a big liking to that. But I
Yeah.
found out that, you know, food is a great equalizer, man, and that's something
It
I
is.
decided I wanted to pursue after high school. And
Yeah.
so I went ahead and went to Kendall College. It cost an arm and a leg then, like it costs an arm and a leg now, you know. So
Who you telling?
yeah, and I didn't necessarily pay all my bills, so I guess they can call me kind of a culinary school dropout in a way. I mean, I'm, you know, here's some money back. Here y'all go, and they gave me my degree post, you know,
Yeah.
later. But I learned all the shit. It's just that I was like, I accrued a large bill with them, and
Yeah.
then I wanted to go to a traditional 4-year college at the same time because my friends were going, and they were, you know, pledging
Yeah.
fraternities and girls pledging sororities, and it was a different life than say me going to born at Kendall College, and back then it was way up in Evanston. There wasn't no just white people, you know.
Yeah.
It had no soul, and it had no funk. So
Yeah.
that ended up going to college. But in the meantime, I was always working in someone's kitchen for a catering company, for movie shoots, doing craft services, tours, concert tours. I went on concert tours with MC Hammer, Whitney
Wow.
Houston. I mean, like
Wow.
20 city tours, man. I learned that every city got a ghetto, every city got a restaurant depot,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Sam's or BJ's big box membership stores. I
Yeah.
learned all this stuff just traveling this great country, and I learned different ways of how you can cook inside of hot boxes and stuff like that. So different
Yeah.
tricks of cooking on site to make it happen for the artist guests.
Yeah.
So relationships and management, time management, production management, you know, through the School of Hard Knocks. I worked on a cruise ship for Celebrity
Yeah.
Cruise Ship for 2 seasons, like a summer and a fall. And, you know, nonetheless, it took me about 7 years to graduate from traditional school from college because I
Wow.
was too busy
Yeah.
working, man. I was working at some of the hottest restaurants,
Yeah.
the Chicago Bulls. I worked at a place in River North where the Bulls always hung out at.
Yeah.
And women in the back alley trying to get through the kitchen because they were fans. And we're outside maybe smoking cigarettes, you know, doing what chefs do. And they're like, can we come in? We like, no, you can't come in. But still, during that whole time, man, I found again, food was a thing that everybody gets together, they celebrate with. And if you are, you know, at that spot that has like the notorious dish, like I worked at a place, Butterfield 8, and helped develop doing a chocolate lava cake, you know, in the bed of creme anglaise and it oozes out. And that was the first restaurant to bring it into Chicago. So when they started talking about it, the food reviewers like, man, the chocolate lava cake at Butterfield 8 is delicious. The chef David Blackman brought it in. And I'm like, my name's in the paper. Now I'm famous, right? Now we didn't have the internet, you know. I used to work for the Alexis Januyas. He's our state Secretary of State right now. I worked for
Okay.
his dad, Poppy George
Wow.
Januyas, man, and he was like he owned two banks, both of them
Mm-hmm.
on both sides of Greektown, and
Mm-hmm.
all of Greektown was pretty much owned. All the leasing ran through the Januyas. He took good care of me. He always made
Mm-hmm.
sure I was good, paid me right. But he was like, look, I want you to go into this restaurant, take care of the inventory. And he'll tell the owners, I got a guy. He's a black guy.
Yeah.
He gonna come in and he'll get this right. And went into the kitchen, started running some things, and and it was all mostly just all Mediterranean food. Now I grew a love for that as well. But I would flick
Yeah.
my Asian approach on flavor building to some
Yeah.
special dishes if I could and stuff like that when I was in there. But I worked in a bunch of Greek restaurants through my 20s and 30s, until I
Yeah.
got my big break for my own places that I was able to run the helm of. Took good care of me, and I was always like, if you mess with me, I had the Greek mafia will come get you. So I was connected,
So how
man. I was good.
so how did that big break come about? How do you think that big break came about?
So I worked at one of these restaurants where anyone remotely that looks like us will come in, man. I would send out
Mm-hmm.
an amuse bouche to them, and then I go touch the table and be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
what you guys y'all celebrating something? So anytime I saw anyone of color coming in, man, I would, go hit up table 18, go hit up table 42, and send out a couple little pieces of seared scallop on a little bit of
Yeah.
mashed sunchoke, some type of little cute little one biter, little hello. And then they looking going, damn, there's a black chef in this kitchen. And so because
Yeah.
the internet wasn't around, we got all the social media and all the stuff we have now.
Mm.
But TV Food Network was kind of new. It was still
Yeah.
rough around the edges. So chefs were becoming brands. And I'm like, well, I got a brand that's not only that dish you had, yeah, you like it, but that dish was made by a brother. It was made by me. And so I would figure that anyone that came in that was black, they were about something. And
Yeah.
I could plug into one of their networks. And so what happened was this one guy was going to open up this joint, and he was looking for a chef that could talk to the media, that can cook food,
Yeah.
that not a thief, be responsible, be able to manage people. And everybody's like, yo, there's this guy. His name is David Blackman. He's at this restaurant in Greektown.
Mm-hmm.
This dude came to the restaurant, hunt me down, and was like, yo, man, can I holler at you real quick? And I'm over
Yeah.
this joint. It's
Yeah.
going to be the future in Bronzeville. And I'm like, Bronzeville? Really? What y'all going to sell? Pizza puffs and fried chicken? He was like, hot dogs, that's all we got in the South Side. Trap, and,
Yeah.
I'm like, so
Yeah.
I'm like, what is it going to be? I was joking. He was like, nah, man, I really want to do, I want you to do you. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
And I ran with it, man, and made that be my swan song and got a whole lot of press. Everybody was eating up because there was nothing like it in that
Mm-hmm.
side of town. It became legendary. But like all restaurants, and the money can get funny if you don't watch it.
Yeah.
The profit margins are very strict, and if you teeter-totter,
Yeah.
sometimes you can never get back on the right side of it. And that's what was going down in that place.
Yeah.
By then I'm married and got kids. I got
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities. I can't have times you can't pay me. I'm
Yeah.
in there
Exactly.
working, right, 14 hours a day, and you can't pay me. And
Yeah.
when that happened, I felt very disrespected, man. So I looked at what I might have
Yeah.
had in the bank. It's like, you know what? I don't need you, man. I want my part of what I earn of this restaurant. This is my part. You give it to me now. I'll pay some lawyers to make sure you give it to me. I want a divorce. And I left. In the meantime, Chicago Public Schools was flipping around their home ec programs. They were
Mm-hmm.
trying to put in real kitchens to give these students real hands-on skills in the
Yeah.
culinary arts world. And they pulled me in as an advisor. I mean, unpaid, but I came in to go, okay, this is interesting. Y'all doing this at Simeon. Okay, this is good. At
Yeah.
Corliss, I like this. And Manly, okay, on the west side. So I got involved with that. But one of the managers or the directors that ended up becoming my boss was telling me, you
Mm-hmm.
ought to come work for Chicago Public Schools. The kids would love to hear your story and get your
Yeah.
energy. And I'm like, Chicago Public Schools, you know. I don't know if I'm going to work at Chicago Public Schools. I mean, even though I'm still with Chicago Public Schools, I do have my bits about it, man. I mean, I think they
Yeah,
are everyone treats CPS like whatever, you know.
yeah,
And
and it's
it's
crazy.
good,
It's
you know.
crazy that you mentioned that you because I remember when I remember when I got into high school, or when I finally decided I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna pursue the career of culinary arts. And my auntie Talisha, it's crazy how my family is like so connected with you. My auntie Talisha is like, hey, you need to reach out to David Blackman. I'm like, David Blackman, who's that? I was like, ain't nobody never told me about this guy. And she's like, just look him up. And she's like, try to get contact with him. I'm like, all right, I'll try to get contact with him. And I ended up landing over at Finger High School. And God knows that's not where I wanted to be at, but circumstances didn't permit it. My circumstances permitted me to be there because
Were you
there
at?
was this.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Were you at Finger when they had the old lab or the new lab?
I guess it will be the new lab. I started at Finger in uh I graduated 13, so '09, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it was the new lab.
Okay,
I
yeah.
was there. I was there '09 and 13. And when I got there, Chef David Little was there, and I met him my freshman year.
Hmm.
I ended up going there my freshman year, and I right away I seeked out. I was like, I heard y'all got a culinary department here. Who the chef there? And they was like, oh, David Little. I was like, David Little. My auntie told me about a David Blackman. I know David Little, but I was like,
Yeah,
I just went with it, and I went straight to him. I was like, hey, yo, I want to do this program. And he just looked at me. He was like, okay, we'll talk. It
yeah.
was like, see you your sophomore year, and that's what I did. I waited till my sophomore year,
Hmm.
and I was able to talk a little bit more with him, and I
Yeah.
did 3 years with him. Uh, go ahead. Tell me. You was telling me the story of how you got it to the CPS.
I mean, the idea was we're getting rid of home ec. Home ec is home ec is nice. I think it's necessary, but if we want to give them people real more industry touch, and that's what
Yeah,
the idea was to take those, the labs and put in a real line, with real high velocity stoves and ovens, and look,
mm,
kids, don't be scared of this flame. It's real fire.
hmm,
And
yeah,
and it teaches them. And then most importantly, get the kids certified in food handling. I want them coming out with more than just a diploma. And so that became like my ministry. It's like, hey, I want you coming out with more than just I went to high school. I want you coming out with I did this competition where we had to cook a healthy lunch,
yeah,
or went to White House with it, or we got a chance to learn this, that, and the other. Because when I first came in, we had the teachers were teaching the kids all this stuff.
yeah,
The kids didn't know nothing. I'm like, okay, yeah, y'all teaching all this international food and all this other stuff, kind of
yeah.
halfway exposing the kids. But I look at one kid, I'm like, hey, how many ounces in the cup? And they're like, well, I don't know. Nah, like 19. I'm like, see, how many ounces in a pound? Well, I don't know. Don't say 19.
Yeah,
So it's just stuff like that, man. I was like, we got to hit them up on the repetitive skills,
yeah,
5 mother sauces, 16, ounces in a pound, 8 ounces in a cup, 132 ounces in a gallon,
yeah,
how many ounces in 4 quarts, and
yeah,
stuff like that, man. And teaching these kids some a math,
yeah,
and then a case of chicken is this much, $40 for a 40-pound case of chicken. That's $1 a
yeah,
pound, but 5 pounds of it's going to be waste. So how much
yeah,
are you really making? They got to learn that, man. And
yeah,
so that's what I focus on at CPS is that it's not just that they're baking cookies; they're learning how to make money off of every cookie they sell, as I was doing as a
yeah,
teenager. So a lot of what I
yeah,
didn't have as a teenager, I didn't have that at my high school. I
yeah,
poured that into 24 high schools around the city that had culinary arts programs like the one you were in. And Talisha and Enoch, Enoch's my frat brother, and Talisha's
yeah,
my soror. So we're connected through, Phi Beta Sigma, Zeta Phi Beta. It's a connection. So
yeah.
I've known them for quite some time back when Enoch had them dreadlocks. I was like, this big dude got these dreads, man. He's scary. But I was like, I seen some clips of him taking people out when he was a lineman. So I'm like, I ain't gonna make, I ain't gonna put this dude on my angry side. Maybe let me keep him happy. Oh, he likes to eat. You like potato salad? Here's a potato salad. Right. But yeah. So yeah, man, that's
That's
that's the thing with them.
that's pretty cool.
So,
How did you end up able to establishing uh and connected with the people that you're able to connect with? Like, if I remember correctly, Pro Start is one of the programs that I ended up getting a scholarship through. I think it was a $5,000 scholarship. It was like a last minute thing. You all were like, I was in my senior year, and you all were like, "Yo, what do we got for this kid?" I remember you was like, you told Chef David Little, you was like, "Why did you bring this kid to me sooner?" Because I didn't get to know you until my senior year, and he was like, it was like, I don't know where, but it just it never happened. But he was like, "Why you didn't bring this kid to me sooner?" And as soon as I got to you, you were like, "Okay, let's see what we have available that we can uh offer to him." I was able to get through Pro Start a $5,000 scholarship when I was and I was on my way to the Illinois Institute of Art, downtown Chicago, which no longer is around. But I thought it was really, really cool, when I seen that, because I ended up getting like a $500 scholarship through their program that they had available at the Art Institute. And then with Pro Start, them giving me that 5,000, I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. I've never seen that. Like, I was like, are they going to give me that check directly? How that work?
nah, we weren't giving no one checks directly back in that day. Look at your ass driving around a car. You ain't even going to college. You like what you doing, dude? For real, we had some strict guidelines. Like, now I go straight to your bursar's office. It go straight to your financial aid office. I wasn't putting no checks in nobody's hands. I mean, because we're dealing with students, man. You go to finger, and I know how people get about their high schools, but
Yeah.
our schools are not equal. You know that, right?
Mm.
CPS schools are not
Yeah.
equal. So not everybody's gonna go to Whitney Young. Not everybody's gonna go to
Yeah.
Walter Payton. And
Mhm.
even though I went to Lindblom, Lindblom is fine, but Lindblom is not. A lot of scholarships
Yeah.
do come to Lindblom because a lot of kids that go to Lindblom, they have to test
Yeah.
to get into that school. But not every
Yeah.
school is selective enrollment, right? So
Yeah.
what can we give the other schools that we got students that run the whole gamut? That some may want to go to college, some just don't have the grit to go to college or the academic grit. What
Yeah.
can we do for them, man? I want them to have something in their hands. So going to, like, Finger and Dunbar and Manly and Marshall, and I'm just naming off some schools,
Yeah.
Julian, and
Yeah.
but people all in their feelings like, man, you think my school's less? No, no, no. I'm just saying that, giving them something, because those selected Roman schools, they didn't want to have a culinary arts program because they felt all of our kids, they're going to go to college. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you know. And
Yeah.
so I was like, well, get me into the schools where a lot of kids either dropping out. You start out with 100 freshmen, you end up with 80 seniors. What happened to those 20? How come the 20 didn't stay? What if we gave them something that was engaging? After a while, I wasn't just doing culinary. I was doing the auto programs. I'm doing the diesel tech programs, welding,
Mhm.
supply chain, logistics, and manufacturing and agriculture.
Yeah.
They started giving me all these other programs, but I took them on with the same energy. Like, what can these kids come out with?
Yeah.
So, it's vocational education, which I'm a big
Yeah.
proponent of, that we keep these programs rolling in our schools. They don't promote them as much as they should. And sometimes they act like they found fire. Did you know there's a culinary arts program in Chicago Public Schools? I'm like, well, there's always been the program now.
Yeah.
We got kids getting millions of dollars in scholarships, and they're working all over the place, man. And they're managing, and they're owning, and they're operating,
Yeah.
and they're getting married, and they're becoming productive citizens of society. And this is the
Yeah.
big argument I got to have with people over and over again, because when I first went to culinary school, it wasn't popular. That was like, oh, that's like
Mhm.
slavery, man. I'm like, slavery? Well, cooking for
Yeah.
people? Because it's a
Yeah.
service job.
Yeah.
But it's necessary. It's not going to be shipped overseas. You
Mhm.
know, you know, and people always got to eat. And if they like a certain dish, they gonna remember the person that made that dish. And so
Yeah.
that was always a fight, and still is the fight in Chicago public schools, because they feel that if you're not going to a 4-year college university, then you're not considered one of the chosen people.
Yeah.
But I'm like, who fixes your car?
Yeah.
You can do that 18-month program. Welding
Yeah.
program, 18-month program. Diesel program, 18 months out.
Yeah.
And coming out of Chicago Vocational High School, you come out diesel certified. You can walk into an $80,000 a year job at 18, 19. Come
Yeah.
on. So this has been a long fight that I've been dealing with in the district, man, and I still fight them to this day, man, just to let them know, our kids are here, and if they decide to go to college, cool, but I want them coming out with a post-secondary plan. And
Yeah.
so that's what is I replace that 18-hour, 16-hour drive working in restaurants with a drive to fulfill dreams and instill beliefs in children, to this day, man,
Yeah.
to give us the same also with recidivism, with people that go to jail, something
Yeah.
happens, you go to jail, but these jobs are felon forgiven and
Yeah.
to help them get employed, man. That's what it's about. Cause we're all gonna die. It's just that what do
Yeah.
you do between your birth date and your death date? What do you do in that dash is what
Yeah.
matters. If you're insignificant, well, man, that's the hardest person to give a eulogy for.
Yeah.
So when I go, there's gonna be a whole bunch of eulogies. You can come up and be like, yo, man, I hung out with Chef Dave. That dude's crazy, man. We went and saw midget wrestling. We was cooking early tonight, but somehow later in the evening, man, we was at a karaoke bar, man,
Yeah.
singing another but Asian people, Michael Jackson songs. We ran the night,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Speaking along the lines of school, you have a people in the culinary industry that you have a lot of people that says, "Oh, you don't need school, just go and work, and you move up the line." And then you have people that say you do need school. Why do you need school versus to why not need school? What do you think? Where do
I'm
you lean more so towards?
I'm torn on that, man. There's school, and then there's a school of hard knocks. It may
Mm-hmm.
take you longer to learn how to balance a budget, how to do profit and loss statements, and your inventory. These are the things that matter the most in the restaurant industry. You cooking a good dish is one thing. You making sure that you're getting every piece of penny is either you're making money or you're finding
Mm-hmm.
ways of working through your taxes to conserve your losses.
Yeah.
And in managing people, when people say, "Oh, I'm a chef," I'm like, okay, are they paying you $1,000 to boil a hot dog for somebody? Made have you ever managed 5 people to help you make that hot dog? To
Yeah.
be your hands. That person's putting the dog in the bun, that person's putting the mustard on the dog, that person's putting the relish
Yep.
and the pickle, that person's putting the sport peppers, that person's and
Yeah.
you're expediting, you're sitting there. Those
Mm-hmm.
are chefs.
Mm-hmm.
Until then you're a cook. And so
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in the rankings, but I
Yeah.
do believe that a person people come from we talk about this immigrant situations we have here. We've been always had an immigrant situation, good or bad,
Yeah.
how you want to see it. I
Yeah.
see it as good. You get a person come here from Mexico, man, 2, 3 years down the road, he running the kitchen. He
Yep.
learned a little bit of English, okay?
Yeah.
But he got a crew working for him and he's slinging out French cuisine because he worked in a
Yeah.
French restaurant and he wrote notes down and he learned techniques, and some techniques the textbook may not give you.
Yeah.
Even when you come out of culinary school, you may say, I did not learn that in my textbook. This is how we this is how we really doing it. We're gonna take this
Yeah.
whole full pan and I'm gonna turn this whole full pan into a skillet. I ain't got
Yeah.
time to cook in a skillet. We gotta cook for a big crowd of people. I'm gonna cook in a
Yeah.
full pan, a full
Yep.
hotel pan. You're like, am I never seen that before? Welcome to
Yeah.
the industry. Cooking pasta in big old full pans. Ain't nobody just in a
Yeah.
pot with a colander in it. No, that shit, we doing it like this. You learn bastard techniques, but you learn how the industry do it, man, to get that $32 dish on that plate and get it out into the customer's mouth.
Yeah.
So you can learn that without going to school, but we got people who are moving foil pans out their house and like, I'm a chef. It's like, no, I don't know. At least I would say, what's the danger zone temperature wise,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
that? Okay, I don't want to eat none of your food. I don't know if you wash your hands. You got cats, you got to take your chicken, you throwing your chicken out on a countertop or something, You
Yeah.
got people that so I'll at least get some food science learning, get your food handler certification, man, and let them get an understanding of how you can kill a bunch of people if you don't cook
Yeah.
food right. So, so you got people cutting up their chicken with the knife and then cut up the potatoes for the potato salad with the same knife.
Yeah.
Now you got
Yeah.
salmonella. So I am leery of certain places I go to. When I see practices not being met, I may never go there again. No matter how good you claim the food is, I'm like, that kitchen nasty. I
Yeah,
don't want to mess with them, you know. I feel both ways. I think
yeah,
you can go faster. So there's like, you know, it's like an expressway. Expressway
yeah,
got that side street, right? But the side
yeah,
street got red lights. It may run
yep,
along the expressway. You can still get to that destination on that
hmm,
frontage road, that side road, the expressway. But if you're on the
yeah,
expressway because you went to culinary school, you're gonna go a little bit faster because you're gonna
yeah,
learn a little bit more in the management stuff. You're gonna learn more stuff, and then when you get into the industry, you're learning techniques. But you could be ahead of that other person. But they'll get there. They'll get
yeah,
there. It's just that
yeah,
it's gonna take some time, and so I feel both ways with it. It's just that what do they know? Now you got organizations like the ACF, the American Culinary Federation, you know, they got they had stuff so far they of, you know, all all the techniques you must know and this, that, and the other. I was always going, how much money is in my bank over food?
yeah,
I would look at them like you live in a trailer home. Even though, you know,
yeah,
you are a full metal ACF chef, accomplished, whatever, to the ACF. I'm
yeah,
looking at I got people writing me checks. I go through the side door in the bank with my money, you know, because
yeah,
I'm moving chicken and sauce. So I always have to reverse that when people like cooking with their little tweezers and stuff like that. And I'm like,
yeah,
there you go. You know, so
yeah,
right. But you got groups like that want to be like, you gotta have this formal training and you gotta have this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay. If that's what's important
to
to
you.
some people, pursue it. If that's important to you, pursue it. But you got people that are James Beard award winning chefs that went through the school of hard knocks. They didn't go to culinary school. They worked in the kitchen, started peeling potatoes, started washing dishes, and worked their way up. And I respect them just as much I respect somebody that went to Johnson and Wales, CIA, Kendall, you know, Illinois Institute, stuff like that. I respect them just as much as I respect anyone else that has classic training, you know. So that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it a little bit earlier, talking about how the immigrants that work in the industry. And you want to know what's crazy? I was so tunnel vision. I did not understand. Like I thought when I started working in the industry, I thought the Asians worked at the Asians restaurant. I thought the Italians worked at the Italian restaurants. I
Yep.
thought the Chinese worked at the Chinese restaurant. But I remember when I went into Sunda, which is an Asian restaurant. I went over there, and it was probably the first restaurant that actually like where I got my footing in the industry. I went in
Mhm.
there and I went into they brought me to the prep kitchen and I heard mariachi. I was like, what is this? And
Yep.
I was so shocked at it because I was so tunnel vision, and I don't know, for whatever reason that's the way I thought. You know, I thought Asian people worked at Asian restaurants. I thought Italian people worked at Italian restaurants, but that is not the case. You literally have a bunch of Latinas, Mexicans, Ecuadorians. It is a lot of immigrants, and I don't think people understand the amount of people that the amount of immigrants that's cooking their food. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, when you are working the line, the pay isn't the greatest, right? The work
Mm,
is a lot,
mm,
and you're in there either for the rewards of it all. You know, you're in there
mm,
for the art. Maybe you're in there for because you just want to be known that I'm working in a really hot restaurant right now. I want to work here and I
mm,
want to see what I can learn. And when you feel you can't learn no more, you move on. The restaurant still has to continue. So what they do is they employ people that are might be you know, undocumented here and there. I
mm,
know there's a place in Chicago. We used to go there every Saturday night after all the restaurants closed, and we called that
mm,
the job fair, in which
mm,
we would just hey, it's a place near the right near the Rush Street area. It's a
yeah,
bar. And the bar is open till 4 in the morning, and all to be nothing but industry people drinking and eating up in there, man. And so managers will come in and say, "Listen, I need two dishwashers, and I need two prep people, I need one saucier, one
yeah,
saute guy, you know, and another Mexican guy. Okay, senor, wait, where's your place?" And they'll bring some people to your place, you know, straight off the boat.
yeah,
It's required, you know.
yeah,
America, our country is capitalism, is king.
mm,
It's been built off. It's been built off of slavery. We're going to talk about
mm,
that, but it's been built off of people that don't make as much, you know.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a dark side to our industry because sometimes they just in there, they don't know no better. They're not unionized. They're in there working. When they learn better, they may move on. But if
Yeah.
not, the owner man will let Luis and Javier and Josefina work up in there,
Yeah.
man, wear their out. Okay,
Yeah.
they're considered expendable to some owners, and it's kind of dark. I, as an owner, man, I try to help. How can I help you grow? Not just
Yeah.
I kind of try to borrow page from, say, a Charlie Trotter. Like, okay,
Mhm.
here you are. You know, let's learn to communicate better. I'm gonna learn some of your language, but I need you to learn some of my language.
Yeah.
And let me help you get again. Let me help you get certified. Let me help you get become more of a citizen. What
Yeah.
can we do? Oh, it costs about $1,500 for them to become a
Yeah.
citizen. So let me
Okay.
get you on that pathway to you becoming a citizen. Stop.
Yeah.
Some of them are so, my family's been here for 30, 40 years. They're undocumented.
Yeah.
We can do the same. So there's a certain kind of ignorance and
Yeah.
arrogance with
Yeah.
our immigrants. And I'm like, okay, but here we are in this day and age, they going, nah, we ain't having that no more. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so now it's gonna be even harder for them to get
Yeah.
their status on. But I
Yeah.
was trying to grow. I'm like, okay, you're trying to get your sister here. Okay, what can we do to get that? Because that's if you're worried about your sister back in the country, what can we do to
Mhm.
help her get here? Because I want my workers to have their minds free. Because
Yeah.
to me, they're cooking their way. They're not worried what's going on. They're bringing their worries on my clock, and
Yeah.
I didn't much like that. I tried my best to help the whole employee feel good about themselves because we're working on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
It's a shitty job. It's a shitty life, man. But our blood, sweat, and tears is making the fun happen for those people that came in for that night.
Yeah.
We don't have lives. We're off for a Monday. That's all. Well, I'll give you the best Monday of your life. That's all we get. We get Monday, maybe half a Sunday. It depends on where you're working at. Tuesday, in some
Yeah.
cases. That's what we got, man. That's why industry night is a Monday night for us to let our hair down and kick it. But
Yeah.
we're working on those harder nights, man. We're working tonight on Christmas Eve. Some of us are
Yeah.
working tomorrow on Christmas Day, making Christmas dinner and stuff. So the life is of such, but you come into this maybe not for the money essentially. You come into this for you're giving happiness. You are
Yeah.
that Kanye West. You're giving that food, that 14 pop bars and that sauce. You're really laying it down and that baseline beat. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing. And for the immigrants, man, it's still needed. Who picks our vegetables? This current government. You know,
Mhm.
um, and we talk about racism. My mom being white has been in plenty of rooms where only white people talk about us, and been doing that since the 80s and 90s. So
Mhm.
racism's always been around,
Yeah.
but now it's showing up again as it did in the 50s and 60s. I'm just hoping we're not sitting at a counter and people are going to throw food on us because I'm taking about 5 people out with me before I get lynched. I'm just saying, I ain't on the Martin Luther King. We should overcome. I'm beating you, but they're moving on thinking, okay, we'll kick the immigrants out because they got poor white people scared. That's what everything's based off of fear. The immigrants are taking your job. I'm like, even you poor white people don't want to work these jobs.
Yeah.
They don't want to work in the kitchen. But they thinking, oh, they don't want to pick the strawberries. They don't want to pick the apples and oranges and all the agricultural stuff is doing. But they think that we may do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
black people ain't going back to that shit either. So no. And so now they backflipping like, oh, we gotta start bringing back some of these immigrants. What's your? So I'm like, yeah, why don't you ask them what's their skill? Okay, you work in the restaurant. Okay, the hotel industry, the restaurant industry does need people, and they've been protected. Like you can run up in here. We're not letting ICE up in here.
Yeah.
We'll throw hot coffee on their ass. There's been
Yeah.
cases that has not made the news where ICE tried to run up in restaurants
Mhm.
and the kitchen beat the shit out of ICE. They ain't gonna
Yeah.
shoot nobody on the property because they totally wrong there,
Yeah.
but they started throwing hot grits on those mugs. Like, get out. We're gonna protect our people. But yeah, it is it's essential. It's always been essential. It's how you
Yeah.
kind of built your business off of. Some people are paying you above, some people are getting paid below, and that's the
Yeah.
way our industry's always been working, man, to make ends meet. So
Yeah.
it's needed, it's essential, man. I will tell you, when I worked in a lot of kitchens when I first walked in, because of my features,
Mhm.
some of them think I'm Puerto Rican and I speak Spanish. They think, well, you are there, you are there. You're Dominican.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not Dominican. My mama German, my daddy black. This is what popped out. And so they would come to me, man, speaking stuff. I'm like, hey, I don't speak that. What do you mean? You don't speak? I said, you speak English? I speak English. They find out I'm black. I've been in many
Yeah.
kitchens, man, where they would turn on you when they realize you're not one of them. And
Yeah.
so I've been lukewarm, like, again, y'all some arrogant, you know, just you find out I'm not Latino, now they're gonna be like, he's not one of us. And I'm like, I will get y'all deported. Don't mess with me. I was saying that joke way back in the 2000s, man. I was always threatening some of my workers. Like, I would turn you in if y'all don't do my work. I had to get my pimp hand on them, man. Be like, okay, I'm not Latino, but I'm gonna tell y'all one thing. Take my powder. Be like, I am a,
Hilarious.
a pimp called Chef. Get your ass in the kitchen. Do, do the job, Luis. So I was pimping a lot of them, but at the same time, once we got a relationship, I'm like, what can I do to help you be better? And then they started seeing it in me, going, he really cares about me, cares about my family. And
Yeah.
then I started getting to network with even more of my other people, that they bring other undocumented people to me. And I'm like, well, what can we do to get you on the pathway of becoming an American citizen?
Yeah.
And some people say, I don't want to do it. Okay, got you. Life's choices, red pill, blue pill. But
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
offering to help you get it on. So I
Exactly.
always did that with a lot of my friends that were undocumented. And I got a lot of documented friends to this day that like trying to do what I was doing, trying to give that same energy back to their brothers and them, man. So like I said, on one side, I know there's some arrogant, press one for Spanish everywhere you go. On the other side, I understand what their plight is. And then
Yeah.
we got our government in the way, because what's being pushed right now is scared, how can I put it? Mediocre
Scared to.
white men are pushing their agenda to push their power, and they're using fear to them. Like, you may be a poor white person, but hey, at least you're not black. And they're like, okay. And I've experienced that. We're going to talk about racism in the kitchen. I've experienced that. We all got our stories, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that.
Yeah. Well, we talk a little bit about how a lot of people don't want to work in the industry today, and I feel like one of the reasons play a big part with COVID. When COVID happened, everybody in our industry dang near was out of work, and a lot of people, like even for me, in that time, I was like, you know what, I'm done with culinary. I need to find a job that if something like this happened, I'm essential. I'm an essential worker. I was like, I'm going to do security.
Yeah, I mean, you could still be essential in the industry. You could be shift. Senior living homes. They still need people to cook for them.
Yeah,
There was a lot of ghost kitchens and cloud kitchens started blowing up from COVID. So
yeah,
basically, you look at these ghost kitchens, like there's one on 24th and Wabash.
mhm,
They got 8 restaurants in there, only run by 4 people. So they
yeah,
got the mise en place for each different restaurant concept. And as the orders come in, man, they just frying them up, throwing them in the bags that they design
yeah,
at, and then throw them in the chute, and then people go
yeah,
get them. So, yeah, it's always good, man, when if anything like this ever happens again, knock on wood, you should have a pivot, be
yeah,
able to pivot. I pivoted a little bit where I'm looking more at environmental and what can we do in our schools to improve our schools buildings, where it comes to, the rodents that come into the schools, infestation of rodents and
mhm,
asbestos and lead-based paint. So I'm more into facilities now in the public schools. Like, I think it's important that the kids have warm, safe, dry schools that are safe for them to be able to
yeah,
learn in, you know. But
yeah,
yeah, you always take inventory, man, to go, how essential is my job? How much
yeah,
am I needed? But I always still say that if you're moving food, if you can cook food, man, of course what was needed during COVID, we had a lot of chefs started doing dropping off feeding people in the hospitals. So those healthcare workers, they needed food. They weren't even leaving the house. They had to stay there and work
yeah,
and sleep and pray to God that COVID wasn't killing them. You had people like Chef Eric Williams, man, set up a whole joint out of an incubator kitchen. Everybody took their test, and everyone worked, and then we started putting out, you know, good dishes, not just, a bologna sandwich and an apple.
yeah,
They were eating well during
yeah,
COVID. Some of these chefs switched their jobs up, and then of course there was tons of grants they were giving out to fund that happening. May not make as much money as you have in the
Yeah.
restaurant, but at least it was something to keep them moving, and
Yeah.
to keep the industry
Yeah.
moving, to keep the doors open per se. But I know that's what a lot of guys did. A lot of restaurants were like, we're gonna, we gotta feed people that can't get a chance to feed themselves during COVID. It
Yeah.
was real. It was real.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna transition a little bit. How did you begin? How did you get into the thing of personal chef? Where you start cooking for celebrities and people like that, and how did that view of service change for you?
Yeah. So when I was working at Butterfield 8, Scottie Pippen liked some of the food, a lot of the dishes there. We had a chef table in the kitchen that Pip would come sit in, and that was kind of my start. Like, hey man, can you come over to my crib and make this and stuff?
Mhm.
And I'm like, sure. Now everybody gives Scottie Pippen no tip and Pippen. Yeah, if I say it's $900 for me to come in, he would just pay me $900. He wouldn't give me like 950. He would pay exactly what you asked for. So you got to learn to when a lot
Yeah.
of our famous people, man, aren't the biggest tippers. But
Yeah.
hey, if my price is my price and you're willing to pay for it, then I show up. So I've off and on, I've done stuff for him. Um, for almost 2 years. That was back in the mid 90s. So that gave me a taste of look at this nice house. You know, the stove and everything in the house is way better than what's in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'm making as much money in 2 days for me than I would do in a week in the
Yeah.
kitchen with less work. I mean, it's
Hmm.
got to go shopping. You got to get the food. I mean, you got to do a lot of logistics and planning, but
Hmm.
the payoff was more than what I was doing in the restaurant. And so at that time, I'm like, I did this, I done this all this time. What else I got to prove to myself?
Yeah.
I've gotten out the industry what I wanted to get out the industry. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not looking, I want a James Beard Award. I don't care about that. I don't care if the ACF recognizes me or not. I didn't care about that. I just
Yeah.
cared that I got I got noted. I got noted by my family, my friends. I
Yeah.
got noted by a lot of other people. You got, Talisha and Enoch, like you got to talk to
Yeah.
Dave Blackman. So my name has gotten out to people that have never met me yet when they say my
Yeah.
name, and is it good? Hopefully I put out a lot of good out there and not a bad. I
Yeah.
mean, mind you, I pissed some people off because they crossed me first. I'm a nice guy,
Yeah.
but if you cross
Yeah.
me, and that's a whole
Yeah.
different thing.
Yeah.
Depends on what relationship you want to have with me in that culinary part. It is going to be what it's going
Mhm.
to be. But overall, I've always want to be like, I'm providing this energy and stuff to you. So with that, working with the upper crust of people that what they call the 1%,
Yeah.
they just like when I saw black people that I thought were well to do used to come into my restaurants back when I was in the Greektown area,
Mhm.
and I would come out and touch them. The same thing
Mhm.
applies to people who live in Winnetka and who live up in the North Shore area and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They tell people, I got this guy, he's an amazing chef. He does kosher food. So I was getting lined up with the Jewish population because
Mhm.
I had a rabbi work for me, man, and he can come in and talk to the lettuce and whatever to make sure the lettuce is kosher, to do
Yeah.
kosher cuisine for those
Yeah.
bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs and stuff like that. Certainly now I'm doing things, private one-off events for their family, not trying to be the private chef like I'm in your house every damn day. I didn't want to
Yeah.
be tied down like that. But doing
Yeah.
your 30 people, your 40 people at $120, 150 a head, you do so many of those, man, it adds up. But I'm saying it's less stress in a way. The only thing that's stressful about it is I have a finite amount of food. Unlike when you
Yeah.
got a restaurant, you may have an infinite amount of food in your kitchen, in your fridge, your
Yeah.
walk-in. So you gotta do planning. You gotta make sure your math is right. You gotta make sure you're dealing with the law of averages and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
if you start growing a good reputation as a person that's gonna, set up a nice setup and it's gonna be really good food, it kind of advertises itself. And so from Pippin, I got involved with a network of lawyers that would have me
Mhm.
go all over from this house in Burr Ridge to this house in the deep south suburbs, to this event place. And I said,
Yeah.
this isn't bad. And then I could take the gigs how I want to take them because, this is a good side gig. So I look at this like it bring a couple of extra thousand a month into my pocket,
Yeah.
because I got expensive habits like I like scuba diving and stuff like that. And that's
Yeah.
not cheap.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's just from the network. And I've got people that still call to this day like, "Hey man, are you cooking right now?" And I'm like, "Sure," so that's how it came about. Sometimes don't some gigs, how can I say this? Fundraisers. I may say, "Hey, Darius, you got your company. Why don't you come do a table at this fundraiser?" I can't pay you, but you whatever, you may spend $200. You made two things that are like person one biter. Put on a little itty bitty little spoon or a little plate, and you got your
Yeah.
marketing material. But what I'm putting you in front of are people that got that money, that got that chop,
Yeah.
that can afford your services. So if it's a fundraiser, that people paid $200 a person to come up in that fundraiser,
Yeah.
and they got a chance to meet you and to see you and to talk to you and to taste your craft.
Yeah.
So I again have another network of chefs in which I'll do your fundraiser for MS, you do my fundraiser for colon cancer awareness. Let's do this man's fundraiser for lupus. Let's do this fundraiser for homeless people. And from there, the people that come in, that's another way of
Yeah.
networking you to them, and then they're looking to pay you for something. So that's how I got involved. Just as many ways, just moving your brand and people calling, and then just make sure you just do well on that event, and they recommend you. People recommend stuff.
Yeah.
So that's
And
how I got kind of involved in that network of private chefing.
wow, that's very interesting. I remember there was a time where I thought I wanted to. I'm not gonna lie, I still sort of do want to do private chefing, but my goal is to. I'm a big wrestling fan, so my goal one day is to hopefully cook for people like John Cena or The Rock or somebody like Cody Rhodes or Booker T. That's something.
Mhm.
That's a goal because I love wrestling. That's something I would love to. But even with everything you sort of talked about scuba diving. What do you do to get away from everything when you think about the stress, you think about everything that you're doing? How do you reset and come back to what you're doing? We as chefs can get to a point sometimes where burnout is a real thing. You get to a point where you're like,
Yeah,
you know what, I'm just done. You're ready to
yeah.
give it all away. So how do you keep yourself
I mean,
grounded?
in 2007, I had burnout. That's when I lost it and cursed out the guy that I was owning the restaurant with. I cursed him out and called him all sort of names, and called his mom all sort of names. You name it. I mean, I lost it, and I
Mhm.
know chefs who just went crazy and just burned the whole kitchen up if they could. I learned how to watch my temper. I
Mhm.
had a temper, and I had to learn that much. And so, what it is, learn about how do I manage my stress. And the job can be stressful. You got so
Mhm.
many tickets on the rails. You don't know how it's going to get done, but it gets done. It's going to get
Mhm.
done. You start to
Mhm.
hate the damn machine. Starts printing up stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, shut up, machine, shut the fuck up. So it's like the bear, man. Give me trauma. I watched the bear and I'll be like, because I remember I worked in a restaurant that had that drug up his cousin up all the time, always in your way,
Yeah.
and then the chef that was like, you don't know how to read them, like that. I
Yeah.
worked in places like that, man. Or I was that chef. You don't know how to read me if possible. I'm hiding behind my happy-go-lucky way, but in the meantime, I'm burning up in the inside. But I'm hiding behind my sarcasm. But really, I
Yeah.
want to snap off and I want to shoot everybody. Like literally, I'm not a people person. I hate
Yeah.
people. I hate stupid people. So when I see stupid people, I'm like, get out my way. That's probably contagious. But I learned to start taking care of myself. I just got hip surgery, man, this year. I got double hip surgery because of all the
Wow.
damage I've done on my body. So I do a lot of reflecting now of how much we need to take care of ourselves. You ought to look up chefs and how physically taxing our working in the industry is, standing all those hours, man, and working and not you're not doing proper stretching or yoga. So you being a young man that you are, man, you should look into, join Stretch Lab, or not just ain't
Yeah.
about lifting weights. You're carrying all
Yeah.
these boxes around, you're standing up, chopping things, cutting things, grilling things,
Mhm.
sauteing things. And when you get done, doesn't your ass hurt? Your ass, your little ass, and you don't know why. Does the back of your thighs hurt, your back hurts, your shoulder hurts, it right here on the back of your head hurts. Not just the cuts and burns you have, you got aches that you just don't realize you're doing damage to your lumbar, you're doing damage to your feet. And so
Mhm.
I'm learning more, even in older age of 55 of taking care of my body more. So I declared 2025 as my healing year. Literally getting these surgeries done, learning how
Yeah.
to move better, learning how to
Yeah.
stretch better, and stuff I took for granted of as a stubborn man that I thought would never happen to me, man. But the damage, I was creating damage on myself. I always walk with kind of a pimp limp, but
Hmm.
it's really because one leg was longer than the other, and I was always leaning on it, and I end up, getting a little curvature in my spine and hip dysplasia because of it. So I've learned, like, I like scuba diving. I've been diving since 96. It resets my soul. It gets me in touch with a higher power, if you want to call him God, Allah, whatever suits your
Hmm.
fancy. I believe there's a higher power because I literally see it on the water. And
Yeah.
go in there and actually see and connect with something bigger than you, bigger than
Hmm.
man. And that's what I do for that part. Another part is I've learned breathing. I'm doing working with a breathing coach that's teaching me just 5 second breathe in, hold it for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, deep breathing and getting in touch with my pulse and all this type of stuff. So I pray that I don't have like a heart attack or a stroke in the
Yeah.
future. And of course, I have regrets that I didn't start doing these things. Like when you first met me, I should have been doing these things. When you
Hmm.
first met me, I was on the run. I'm doing stuff with CPS.
Hmm.
I got to can everything on the weekend. When do I sit down? And so you
Yeah.
gotta make time. You gotta make time to find out what makes you happy and go do it. Even if it's getting a massage, go get a
Hmm.
massage. Get a if it's a legitimate massage. If you don't get a massage,
Yeah.
and but hey, if that resets you, don't judge it. You want to get a ruggy tucky? Get a ruggy tucky. I'm just saying. If that you leave out and your blood pressure's low after that, then fine. If that works, you sit in a strip club and just throw money at some girl's thong, that resets your body. Do what makes work for you, man. Pursue things that help reset you. Pursue that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And if it's just sitting around watching a sports game on the couch and eating popcorn, whatever it is, man, that makes you go, if you can stop and go, this is good. So if it's
Yeah.
going on a cruise, if you're going on vacation, go on vacation, try not to do business. Stop and look at a
Yeah.
fixed point and just stare at that fixed point and be like, that's all I want to do right now. Man,
Yeah.
that's all I want to do right now. That's all I want to
Yeah.
do. Pay money. I just want to look at this fixed point, drink coffee, touch a monkey. That's all I want to do.
Yep.
So, you know, um, you got to do it. So I just said, like I said, it's been evolving for me that I've learned that find things that when I leave, I feel good. You can
Yeah.
feel it. You feel it deep into your soul has been fed and whatever works. So
Yeah.
everyone has a different trigger for them to
Yeah.
we stock the guns, so to speak, but don't always
Yeah.
shoot the
That's
bullets off, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I definitely understand what you're saying. Like for me, one thing that sort of keep me grounded, which I haven't done in a while, is poetry. I love poetry sets. And I don't mean like the snapping poetry. I mean like, but it's performative poetry. You got people like Phenom out here on a poetry scene. You got people like K Love out here on a poetry scene, and just different people of that nature. Like I love poetry. Is something that allows me to go in and see them express the way they feel in a different format and different creativity. And it's like I write poetry, but I'm not as poetic as some other people. But that's something that I do to decompress.
But stay at it though. I mean, like I journal. I
Hmm.
need to journal more, but I used to journal a lot in my
Yeah,
late 20s through my
yeah,
30s. I have
yeah,
tons of books. I would come home and go, today I
yeah.
watched a customer do this. Today I watched society unfold, how
Hmm.
dysfunctional society is, but I would write it down,
Yeah,
let it go, or how
yeah,
interesting some things I may observed are, right?
yeah,
So I journal. And I look back and go, look at this body of work that I've captured in my mind. And I
yeah,
forgot about it until I read it. Then when I read it again, it's like I remember when it happened.
yeah,
What you're doing right now, this podcast, you can look back, man, and go, you got it. You've captured so many chefs, you've spoken with so many of them, and then you're going to end up having a large body of work. You're going to end up taking little snips out of all these videos, throwing them up on YouTube or whatever, and then
yeah,
keep moving this product. Before you know it, you got to follow other chefs, culinarians, foodies, what have you,
yeah,
check, and you look up and say, "Man, damn, I did that." Oh,
yeah,
and you can always look back at that like a person that has a collection of jewelry. They go and they look
yeah,
at their, they may not wear all their jewelry, But sometimes a person that owns a lot of jewelry, they will stop on a lazy Sunday and look over all the shit they've acquired, if that's
Yeah.
what thrills them. So some people, that's how they look. I worked hard. I've bought all these watches and all this other stuff. So you can look over, that's a body of work to them. This could
Hmm.
be a body of work to you that you contributed that could still be around even after you leave.
Yeah.
That you could be noted for that you're doing right now. And then every once in a while you can stop and go, damn, I did that. I did and that kind of is another thing that kind of calms you down, like, damn, I'm man,
Yeah.
impactful, you know. And
Yeah.
look at that, because that makes you go, you know what? If I step outside, like I feel sometimes, if I step outside right now and get run over, I did that.
Hmm.
Me. And I look and I take inventory of my own life, and that helps me. Again, that's another help me cope. That I'm not some, insignificant being. I think all of us
Yeah.
deserve to have some significance in life. We're entitled to have that, but we need to find out what it is that we're able to plug into that makes us significant, you know? And when you look at it, go, wow, I have impact here, I have impact here. I need to improve this. I need to improve this. We're not perfect, but in the
Yeah.
meantime, look at a body of work of what a person has done. And when you're able to start capturing that as you're getting older, when you start getting
Hmm.
gray hair, because I see you still have hair on your head and it's that all black, and when you start getting all this stuff, you start matching the sweatshirt. You're gonna start reflecting more, man. When you get a little health scare, like I've had, we've all had, you start reflecting more like, man, what if I have a heart attack? I almost died 4 years ago, bro. So I look and go,
Wow.
wow, look at what I've done. But if God says now's the time, I can go, okay, you know what? I mean, I still think I got more to do, but
Yeah.
what I've done is like I guess that's acceptable enough. So I
Yeah.
look at that sometimes when you got less summers ahead of you than summers behind you, man. You start to think differently as us older cats do, man. That's what I do now.
Yeah.
So yeah, find out what makes you happy. And if that your words, being a poet is the same, man, as being a chef. You got take
Yeah.
raw material, you put it down, you express it. Food is
Hmm.
expressive. And even if people do snap their fingers, I said not to snap their fingers. Ain't nothing wrong with snap their finger poetry. Even if they do, you say something profound, you be like, blah, blah, with the blah, blah. Let them snap their fingers. Don't be like, snap, snap, snap their fingers. All right, let me move on with my poem. You need to blah, blah. That's how they feel, man. It makes them happy that, they happy that they appreciate something you said, man. So,
Yeah.
you know, I stare at people that snap their fingers at poetry, such as myself, though, but that's it. I look at them and go, stop that snap. Okay, you said something. You made a point. You got it. She made a
Yeah.
point. Good. But that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
For
man,
me,
continue on it though.
yeah, for me, I'm finding more in this point of my career. I'm finding more that what also makes me happy is serving the community. I really want to give back to the community. Like, one of my goals is to start my own non for profit where I'm teaching younger generations how to cook. And not only just cook, I want to take them out to explore the world. Like, I want to do something different. I want to be able to take kids outside of Chicago, outside of the U.S., and take them over to places like France, take them over to places like Cabos, just to experience the food culture because the food culture is so different, and it's really hard to like most people never leave their the four walls of their corner. And what really sort of got me embarked on this journey is I don't know if you heard of the program Embark, but it's a program that does similar things where they take students on these journeys where they're able to go to like different restaurants and eat at different restaurants and taste the food and things like that. And also not only just restaurants, but they take them out to different to connect with like lawyers and connect with like people that
Mhm,
print shirts or
mhm.
whatever. And that's something that I want to do. I want to take that and expand it even more. I want to be able to do more for my community, more for the culture. And I've started doing more for the community, because I find that's what brings me happiness. But you talked a little bit about how you journal. That's pretty cool because I know you have a book that you're writing called the Culinary Cupid. Talk about that. How did that book come about?
So Culinary Cupid was not a book. Actually, we were going to try to do some filming and make it be a television show. We have about ten episodes in cans. We just have not found a proper streaming method yet.
Hmm.
It's basically uh, guy meets girl, right? Courting. Guy is trying to win the girl's heart. because
Mm.
they're new. So when you first meet someone, you're trying to win them over. They don't know if you an axe murderer. They don't know,
Yeah.
what's up with you. And so first couple of dates, first y'all had dinner, y'all met someplace public, and then you went to a movie. You don't never do a movie first on the first date, because you don't talk
Mm.
to each other.
Yeah.
You're talking, you're learning about each other, learning about each other's politics, and why you don't like your daddy, why she don't like her mama. You're learning about these type of things, religion,
Mm.
whatever. You learn down the road that she loves roasted chicken, grilled vegetables, and good garlic mashed potatoes.
Mm.
She's like, that's a comfort dish. She will eat that dish any day she likes. You learn that, but you don't know how to make roasted chicken, garlic potatoes, and roasted vegetables. You don't know first thing how to do it. You don't know technique the first. And I pop
Yeah.
up, yo man, what's up? How you meet Kim? Okay, so we're gonna go and we're gonna pick out a chicken. We're gonna learn how we're gonna prick the skin with a fork, and we're gonna put some little baking powder on top of that so the alum dries the skin out a little bit. We're doing some different tricks to get that crispy skin, and then we're
Yeah.
going to season it, and then we're gonna cook it down first and let that skin get crispy, and then we're gonna let it finish off in the oven, right? And
Mm.
then we got that. We're gonna make a sauce like with the fronds on that pan, and we got the potatoes boiling, and we're gonna mash those out. We go through all the
Mm.
means of putting together that dish that she said she liked, and then she comes home from work, and you pop up like, boom! I made you this roasted chicken, garlic, potatoes, grilled
Yeah.
vegetables, and she's gonna be like.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
listen to what I said. You took time
Yeah.
out your busy man life to
Yeah.
cook for me. So the
Exactly.
culinary cupid is the person in the background that helped you get that done, to put that on that plate, to give it to that
Mm.
young lady. So bringing back the art of courting. A
Yeah.
lot of our younger generation, they don't court, man. They walk to a girl, yo, ma, you smoke? I smoke. That's it.
Yeah.
Man, you gotta work for to win someone's heart, but a lot of people aren't doing that no more. They're just giving up their heart too easily, not realizing that person really is an axe murderer. They don't,
Mm.
that person
Yeah.
really is a loser, an asshole, or whatever. We gotta bring back the art of courting. You gotta learn who it is that you're dealing with and who you might close a deal with that you can fall in love, or if it's lust, it's lust. You don't cook for it. Just
Yeah.
buy them a shrimp fried rice, take them to the hotel on Stony Island, get busy, and drop them back off. But if it's someone you're trying to be like, I want to build something with you, there's something about you. You got to understand, I'm willing to put down my black book of my numbers. If you want to put down
Yeah.
your black book of numbers, you
Yeah.
spread your peacock feathers out. So the culinary cupid, me as a character, is literally I am like Cyrano de Bergerac. I'm the one helping giving you all those lines. If you want to give that girl, I'm in the background going, you're like blah
Yeah.
blah blah, but I'm in the bushes behind the background giving. That's what the chef is doing. So that's the
Okay.
concept and doing it, man. So it's like helping people love again, bring back that. And so
Yeah.
that's what the concept of the show is, and that's what from there the book. The Tales of a Urban Chef is talking about how my travels and how food has been there for me. So they're both concepts that I never really followed up on, man. I put them on the shelf, and every once in a while I look at them and go, "Who buys cookbooks these days?" So I was like, and I don't know. I'm I'm more right now, Darius is like, now it's time to retire, man. I'm looking now like buying a spot, man, down in the South in a red state with loud banjos, where my money goes farther, and just me and
Yeah.
my wife, man, just like waking up in the morning, have a cup of coffee and a cup of tea, walk 8,000 steps a day, things like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That was when I was younger. I should have changed my bio. Not even mention I'm trying to work on a cookbook anymore. I don't know. I mean, but it's still there. I still got it on a jump drive. I just never really touch it again. A collection of recipes and stories. But yeah, but the Culinary Cupid is what it is. It's a show concept of me just, and it could be God, girl meets girl, whoever's trying to win whoever's heart. I'm just gonna pop up and be
Yeah.
like, okay, she likes scallops. Let's go to the store. This is what you want in the
Yeah.
scallops, what you don't want in the scallop. Blah blah blah. So, if I ever find a good video production crew and they want to do it, let's give it a try. But
Yeah,
I
man.
haven't I haven't seeked out such a group yet.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely looking for a team that's willing to work with me because I'm hoping that as I continue to do this that I'm able to bring you into the studio, because that, you know, I would love to have this conversation sitting in the room with you. You know, this is, I mean, not that this is any different, but just I feel like it's more personal when you have, you know, the person right next to you in the room with you.
Most definitely, man. I mean, but you got to
Yeah.
start somewhere down the road. It could be like, yeah, just like what Shay Shay does, whatever his name is, you know, sitting across each other, drinking some bourbon, some charcuterie, you know, and I got my microphone, you got your microphone going. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the next episode of, you know, and talking like, you know, how they
Yeah.
talk like it's an NPR show on the next episode. You know, so it grows, man. But you know, number one, you decided this, and this is great, man. And you put the brand out there. You got a platform, you know, and then what you do with this platform can grow. Before you know it, you get that one person that you know you film a bunch of people, you know, call a bunch of chefs you know that you remember and that inspired you or whatever. Keep on getting the trail up. It may grow, and before you know it, you got sponsorship, you know. And
Yeah.
now you got a little space that people come meet at, or you just come set up in their area or whatever. And you just need two
Yeah.
chairs and we need a coffee table between us. And you put up your step and repeat behind it. And we just sit there like this, like, okay, let's go. You know, tell me about the time you first burned your hand. How did it feel? You remember that time? Yeah, I do. I burnt it out, man. So it's stuff like that, man, that you can do down the road. Or, you know, tell me about the time you lost it. You ever quit in a restaurant in a blaze of glory? Yeah, yeah, it was bad, you know. What happened? Oh man, you know, and stuff like that. And keep it up. But I mean, it's first off, you just take the first step is you take a brave thing, is which you like, you know what, I'm gonna move it, you know, and that's what you're doing now, man. So, you know, I'm proud of you for, you know, even conceiving this type of conversation type talk to put out there in the atmosphere, you know.
I definitely, I'm definitely excited about this. And as we come to an end, man, this conversation has been really, really great. I wanna move to a segment called unpopular opinions, and basically what that is where you say something like, for me, unpopular opinion, I do not like Portillo's Italian beef. I don't understand why people love Portillo's Italian beef for. That stuff is trash, yo. Like, you need to go to a mom and pop's restaurant and get an Italian beef dip with cheese and giardiniera. Like, I don't understand why people love Portillo's Italian beef, but it's trash. I will never enjoy it. I remember my first time eating a Portillo's Italian beef. I was like, what is this?
I have a number of unpopular opinions, I guess. I hate jerk everything. I hate that it's been bastardized. Jerk chicken it's a technique, all right, and
Hmm.
it's a certain type of smoking and slow cooking of meat. Normally
Hmm.
in a pit with full of pimento sticks, you know, the real jerk chicken. But
Yeah.
lately I see people jerk tacos. I think that's stupid. Jerk
Hmm.
pasta is stupid. Alfredo everything is stupid. Grass walls, jerk pizza, you know. Everyone's now taking oxtail. You can make oxtail pizza. I'm like, that's the dumbest concept. I hate I hate cognac glaze anything. That's stupid. All right. Even though I'm a bourbon head, I'm a whiskey head. I'm not gonna do too many bourbon glaze things, but every once in a while I
Yeah.
make some little bourbon in my pancake syrup with some whipped butter and make a bourbon butter syrup for pancakes. Cool. But
Yeah.
I'm not sitting around doing, you know, Hennessy wings or Hennessy ribs. That's stupid. Grass walls in restaurants, stupid. Let's see. Serving drinks in those Patron bottles, super stupid. They probably washed them things out after you put all that sticky sweet shit in there. So I got a ton of opinions, man. Um, you charging $100 for an 8-piece chicken? There's a certain restaurant, both names start with K in it. That's here in Chicago, and I know they got a chain, I think out of Dallas. How you charging $100 for an 8-piece chicken? What is special about your chicken? Stupid. And you got some people going, it's good. Not for $100, not for 8 pieces. You know?
Nah.
But there is a restaurant that's charging $100 for 8-piece chicken, man. All right. But both
Wow.
names start with K. Kitchen and so both, anyways, that's the name of it. So I don't want to get sued, man, because they might come at a brother going, man, Chef Black, let's sue his Uncle Phil. But I do when I see people that claim they have a restaurant, but they really play in a restaurant. I'm never going to darken your doorstep. I'm never going to go up in there. You should not have a 2-hour wait. If I made a reservation and you got me waiting for 2 hours before I get any morsel of food in my mouth,
Yeah.
you're not a real restaurant. You don't have a really good hostess. You guys don't know how to get people to sit down, how to flip these tables over. You playing
Yeah.
restaurant. You burn lamb chops, I disrespect you. That meat is a meat of God, and you should not burn a lamb chop. I seen that burnt lamb chops. Same place, by the way. I ain't never been there. I just saw the reviews. Saw the reviews, and I'm like, they got some bottles, Hennessy and Patron and Douce bottles filled with alcohol hanging on the damn Christmas tree
Oh
thing, and
yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
at $32 a bottle of drink of sweet crap. They filled a damn daiquiri machine and put a little bit of alcohol in there. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then put an orchid on top of it, and I'm like, so
Yeah.
not maybe not it may be unpopular, but I'd have problems with that jerking everything. That's what we do in Chicago. Everything jerk, man. Jerk this, jerk that.
Yeah.
Omelet, jerk, apple pie. And I'm
I
just
can't
like,
stand it either.
damn it. So I can't stand that, man. But you got people like that's fine, that's delicious. Yeah. So if that's unpopular, so it is. Some of my stuff
Yeah.
may be popular. Like I feel the same way. I don't like you done heard that thing between Uncle Remus and Uncle Remy's. You heard that
Oh yeah.
situation. I don't like how DJ Khaled type people come in and just disrespect and steal our concept and just, so you got an
Yeah.
Uncle Remus. We're just gonna open up an Uncle Remus. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
let's see. A
Yeah.
barbecue. I don't understand why people what they see in Limbs. Limbs barbecue is disgusting. Well, it's better barbecue. So I can get my ass whooped. I don't know. They changed, man. A lot of people in the Lemons family aren't running like they used to no more, man. And shout out to my girl Marky, but Marky left them. They disrespected her, and she was like, fuck it. She was a secret sauce. She had her mama's touch. A lot of it
Yeah.
tastes like roasted pork, man. They just rushing out. They ain't smoking it. It's inconsistent. Now they got a long line. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
wow.
You
I
asked.
appreciate that. As we come to the end, what's some of the things that you hope that people take away from this podcast, and what do you say to the next generation?
I would say to people, I took a leap out on faith to become a chef. And there was a lot of times when I felt like, what the fuck am I doing in the
Mhm.
kitchens? There's a lot of times that I was like, especially like you got to make 100 appetizers and watch those things
Yeah.
disappear in 30
Yeah.
seconds. I would say that is still a very defeating feeling. But I mean, you spend hours making little itty bitty things and watch those things disappear like that. That still fucks me up. But at the same time, they liked them. Don't feel a way about that. Be patient, be humble. So I tell people that, everybody's like, I'm the best chef in the world. You ain't better than me. And I'm like, this ain't a competition. It's not a competition. Calm down. I mean, let it be a competition yourself, but don't confront me off on it. People are, I want to challenge you in a cooking competition. I'm like, I don't want to do no cooking competition. Beat it.
Yeah.
Everything ain't got to be a competition. There's enough space for all of us to be enough black chefs around. But some people in this industry feel there's going to be one. There's going to be one black chef. And so I challenge you, Darius, to a competition of grits. And the winner you got to leave town. I
Mhm.
see too much of that among us where we've been wired, and I don't know if it's from slavery, to act like we could only have one of
Yeah.
us in this field, in this room, in this atmosphere. We got to stop that. There's plenty of room for all of us. There's plenty of room for us to network, connect, learn, incubate, and grow. But yeah, you got to start with, first off, being humble, walking in and acting like you the best. Okay, you got this particular dish that you feel is so good. Great. Hey, it's good. Some people are gonna tell you it's not good. I got people that told me before, I don't like this dish. And I'm like, okay, I don't go, fuck you, get out my face. The younger me
Mhm.
might have done that, but as I gotten older, I realized it's something about it you might not like. Okay, I got it. Hey, it's
Mhm.
cool. Sorry, and that's all I can give you.
Yeah.
I may not try to appease you. I might be like, that's it. I'm gonna leave you alone. I learned that much.
Mhm.
Uh, but again, that goes with just being humble, and like I said, patience, humble. But if you enjoy it though, always stop and go, what was good? Weigh out everything that's good about what you're doing. That's what's going to give you the energy to wake up the next day early in the morning, to run to the market, to run to the restaurant, to get everything online, to get that restaurant up and running, or to get that concept moving. Keep that energy flowing. Continue to network. Don't put yourself in the corner where you're just on an island. Find a network of people. Iron sharpens iron. Get with them. Sometimes you might have to work for free just to get something. Go through that whole school of logic. Be be okay to do that. Like I talk about doing a fundraiser. Well, the fundraiser can't. I'm not paying you for a fundraiser, but if you can come in, I can put you in front of some people that give you a
Yeah.
chance to network. No, I'm trying to
Hmm.
put you on for the network of people. I'm not just using you. And
Hmm.
so you gotta get with network of people that will do that for you, not users. So
Hmm.
find out people who are trying to bring things to you, who are not trying to take away from you.
Yeah.
Align yourself with that. And every once in a while you gotta stop and go, yeah, I can't mess with that person no more. Okay, that's a taker. But this is a giver. There's a little give and
Hmm.
take. I'm able to bring something, but I'm getting things back. And it's stuff
Yeah.
you're getting back is helping you get to that next level. Those are the people you want to keep in your level of circles. And mind you, have multiple circles. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid of this circle and this circle, but you may not intertwine them, but you got different circles.
Yeah.
So keep yourself diverse. There we go. Learn Spanish. So, because they ain't going nowhere, man. So if anything, learn Spanish and get you some translator glasses or something, some earbuds that you can work it out. So yeah, that's what I will let people know what they can, take from this whole thing, man. But don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to play with your food, man. And enjoy the moments. If this is what you want to do it. You know, yeah.
Man.
And to you, like if you want to cook for wrestlers, you got to find out what networks may be connected with another network that may get you into that room in which John Cena is able to eat a Darius Smith turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what we got to work on with you now. I can
Yeah.
put you in a room with a bunch of midget wrestlers now. I know you can start half off. They don't eat that much. So,
Hilarious.
all
Man,
right,
Chef Dave, I really, really appreciate you, man. This conversation was really great. I pray that God continue to give you much success in all your endeavors. Just you said you're not finished. There's much more that you got to do, and I look forward to continue to growing in this and continue to partner with you.
no problem, man. I'm very proud of what you're doing too, brother. So it was
Thank
a pleasure, man, to be here. Thanks for the invite, and
you. Of course.
much continued success on your endeavors as well, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Love you, Chef.
All right. Love you, bro. All right.
Later.
Peace. All right.
Thank you for watching. If you have any suggestions, ideas, or things you'll let us see on the show, I really want to hear from you. Email me at realchefstalk@gmail.com. Let me know where you're watching from, what you do, and if you're interested in connecting, collaborating, or even featuring on the show. If you feel like you got something to say and something to add to the conversation, please don't hesitate to reach out. You also can connect with me on all social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. Just search Real Chefs Talk. And let's keep the conversation going. I'll drop the link in the description to make it easy for you all to stay connected with me. And I just want to say thank you and that I truly appreciate you all. Until next time.